Um, all right. Thanks so much for joining us today. This is an
Um,
interview for the Recognized Stories Project. Today is May 22nd, 2025. I'm here with Denice, and we're going to be talking about Indigenous culture, Indigenous relations, Black Basking Mardi Gras Indian craft, and how can we be better relations together. And then also Denise's hopes, dreams, visions, my hopes, dreams, visions, and it's just going to be a jam for a little bit. But yeah, I guess maybe we can start off um, by by kind of, I don't know, introducing ourselves to each other like we've never met before, even though we have.
sure,
That's another
sure,
thing, just to
sure,
let the audience know
sure.
that
Uh,
this is a historic reenactment, I guess, of a conversation that Denise and I had back in January of this year when we did actually meet each other. And it was such a good and fun conversation and meaningful conversation that we decided to do something kind of, you can never recreate the same thing, but just kind of do something that hits some of the same points and do it for the stream. So
right.
sorry.
Well,
All right.
it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure being here, talking to you again. My name is Denice. I am Big Queen of Monogram Hunters Black Massing Tribe. Um, Actually, I'm the first adult Big Queen of Monogram. I've been masking for 15 years uh, under the leadership of my big chief, Tyrone Stevenson, aka Pie, Big Chief Pie. I never thought I'd mass. That was never on my brain to do this. But I masked my granddaughter one year, and I just got into it and haven't stopped. And my vision is I'll mass until I die. Um, and if I can't walk, put me in the wheelchair and roll me around because I'm coming. I'm never gonna stop.
So hey, my name is Haley Dardar. I'm a member of the United Homa Nation, and I work with the Homo Language Project in Bulbacha Public Access. And along with that, I work a lot with language reclamation and Indigenous minoritized language work, but I also do a lot of work thinking about archives and access and community access, and thinking about how can we celebrate and make history present and addressed in everyday existence. And some of the work that I was working on with that was what brought me into thinking about the relation between um, in, indigenous art, craft, and history, and Black Masking Mardi Gras Indian art, craft, and history, and thinking, is there actually a divide, or is that just um, a historical way of talking about it? And so those were kind of the feelings and thoughts that I brought in when I met up one day with Denise in a kitchen at Studio in the Woods. We were both put together to do artist residencies at the same time. We didn't know each other before that. And one day we just woke up and we were both in the kitchen and we decided to talk to each other, and, and we talked to each other until lunch, and then talked at lunch. It just became a good day. Um, yeah, I don't know, where do we want to go from, I guess maybe
Well,
talk. Oh, sorry.
go ahead. Talk about.
Maybe we can talk about what we were both doing at the residency. Maybe part.
Yeah. Well, my residency was actually it was not my residency. It was Chief Pie's residency. But when we go there and we sew on our designs, and uh, we try to come up with different ideas, and I did get a lot of ideas when I was out there. But my residency is not until the end of the end of part of the year for actually me. But when I'm there, it's like I'm in residency because that's how they look at me, and they always want me to come back. But I enjoyed that. Is amazing. That place is very amazing. Um, I got a chance to see it in the summer, and I did get to see it in the wintertime. In fact, we were coming back, but the snow came, and you were out there with the snow. Remember?
I know. I wish you were able to come out there with the snow. That's one of the first things I think we were talking about was like, because you were supposed to be there, y'all were supposed to be there the week that the snow hit, and y'all ended up pushing it back a week. But I had already been there for like
Exa-
a while, so I
yes,
was kind of
yes, yes.
stuck in the snow. And
And I
man,
saw all your pictures there. It was gorgeous. Oh my
that was
God. And then I did get a chance to take pictures of you in your um
yeah,
outfit for I don't know, I don't remember what it was that you were going to, but that was
yeah, it was
so nice
Mardi Gras.
that you
Mardi Gras.
created. Oh, that was so nice. That
Yeah,
was really nice.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I had dressed up. I was an alligator that year at Chanchuba for our my Mardi Gras crew, and so Denise was took pic.
Right, right.
Yeah,
That was so unique. That was I mean, that was very creative.
that
Very
was a good.
creative.
That was a good one.
And
I-
see, and that's what we try to do as far as massing. Uh, uh, to be honest, the Indian tribes were sort of upset with us because they thought we were making fun of them. But in all actuality, we are paying homage to them. Um, we just do it with a flair. That's all. We create suits, and that's another thing. Honestly, I was watching the news one day, and it was right before Mardi Gras, and the news lady kept saying costumes, costumes, costumes. So I let that go. The next day, they were still because it was the weather they were concerned about, and she kept saying costumes, costumes. And I called the channel and asked them very nicely not to call them costumes because they're not costumes. They're either regalias or suits.
Mm.
Indian suits or regalias. They're not costumes. So
Could you?
so when I looked when I looked at the news the very next day, I said, "Oh, she said it right," and they got it right. So now I hope they remember in the future to call them suits and not costumes. So, but uh,
To go back to your
back to
other
what I was.
the first thing that you said was that it's done out of honor and respect. Could you talk a little bit more about what's being honored?
Why? Well,
Yeah.
well, our ancestors were slaves, and the Indians would take them in, hide them from their masters, and they taught them different things. So it just went on and on, generation after generation, like wearing the feathers, um, beating drums, talking through drums, um, and just different words that we use when we're singing. So, and all the singing and the chanting, we're not making fun of them. We're actually paying homage to them and really thanking them for doing what they did. So I was at one of our Indian practices, and uh, this, I don't remember the tribe. He's a real Indian, and he said something to me, and I said, we're not making fun. I said, but please believe that we're paying homage to everybody, all Indian tribes. You know, we're paying homage to them, and if you notice that there's a uptown and there's a downtown Indian tribes. Uptown is above Canal Street. They're so flat. We so different, but most of their suits tell stories. If you pay attention, it's flat sewing. Downtown so 3D, and what we're trying to do is one day have up and downtown come together and come as one. And instead of separating us, which the city does separate us, because we have uptown, downtown, back of town, they have across the river. So each section of the city has their own group of Indians. But Monogram is the oldest Black Mason Indians in the city. Monogram hunters came about through Tootie, Montana. And when Chief Pye decided to pull his own tribe, he blessed him with his dad's name. That was the name of Yellow Pocahontas. His dad was Monogram Hunters. So when Tootie took over his dad's tribe, he changed it to Yellow Pocahontas. And when Pye decided he wanted to, bring his own tribe, he asked Tootie to bless him with his dad's name. He wanted to give back to him what he did, because Pye messed with him like 25 years. Wow. In position. So that's how Monogram Hunters came about as far as what we are today. But it's important that people know that we're not making fun of Indians. Like my great-grandmother was an Indian. So, it's not like I'm definitely not making fun of her, but not my great-grandmother was an Indian. And if people say things because they don't know. And I think talking to people and asking questions, you get a better understanding of what's going on. A lot of people are asked us, why you chant? What are you chanting? At Indian practice, different tribe members give different signals. They mean something. But if you don't ask, you won't know. You're just assuming that we're being rude or obnoxious, but that's not what it is. The signals mean the flag boy he goes out to find out where the next tribe is, and he waves his flag, and that's signaling there's a tribe ahead. So, everything that we do means something. And as far as the queens, we have one big queen and we have gang queens. The big queen job is to keep the peace within the tribe. And thank God, all the men in the tribe, if I say something, they listen. No, you don't need to do that, or don't go here. We're not going that way. So yes, that's the job of the big queen. And I am trying to put a little twist on. I want to start singing in the tribe. Haven't gotten the nerve to do it yet, but I would like to do a little singing in the tribe when we have out in practice. Um, that's something different. Um, and as far as I got a lot of respect and dislikes about the way I dress. Um, my chief want me with a big crown, so I wear a big crown. And I was always taught you sew, you wear it. Um, I had our, a lot of people saying, "Oh, her crown is too big. She's trying to outdo." No, I'm not. I love to sew, and sometimes I may over sew, but I'm gonna put it on. So it's you have people maybe because, and let me just say this: no matter what queen I meet, she can come with a satin dress on with one feather in her head. She's beautiful. And one patch on her chest. She's still beautiful. I don't I don't say where she thinks she's going. Maybe that was all she could afford to do. I never disrespect any queen out on the street, and I get a lot of respect for that. When I first started massing, it was you don't meet this one and don't meet that one. And I'm saying, well, why? Oh, she's wild. But that's not how I present myself. So, and there's queens that I don't know by name, but they know me. And I try to teach from my little queens to the older queens. We're not out here to cause a problem, disrespect any other queen. I'm out here to be beautiful. I'm pretty. This is what I did all year, you know, and just you give respect and you'll get respect, you know. So
Yeah, and it's like everybody's always gonna have something to say. If you're doing something, someone's gonna have
exactly,
something.
exactly. I've heard people say, one year I masked and there was a queen. That was my very first year. Uh, the weather was bad, and I had met this queen before at Indian practices, and very nice person. And she didn't put her suit on that year, and someone told her, "Come and see this queen," and she. From a distance, and they told her, "You need to go put your suit on and meet this queen." She said, "I'm not putting my suit on."
Mhm.
Now, to me, I still would have put my suit on and met the person, but she said I had too much for her. Oh, come on, please. But
Mm-hmm.
and I, but that I had nothing that anyone has said about me has discouraged me. I still dress the way I dress. You know, um, queens. A lot of queens think it's beautiful. I wish I could do this and show me how to do that. I don't mind. I don't mind. If you notice on our our sewing is different. Like I said, we sold 3D, Uptown sold flat, and most of their designs are telling stories. We just do creative designs, and I'm hoping one day we can get uptown, downtown, one Mardi Gras, and just all the tribes just walk the streets. All the tribes walk the streets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a dream of mine.
Yeah. Well, I have some questions of like thinking about the work and the art that you all do and thinking of it in like an indigenous perspective. What I was always told, first of all, I've never, I enjoy going to second lines and enjoy going to St. Joseph's Day. but I'm not involved, in the
Mhm.
asking Mardi Gras tradition. I'm just putting it out there for people listening to the audience. But I am involved
Mhm.
in indigenous communities, people who identify as indigenous communities in the Gulf South. And the thing that I was always told was that, like, that people who were masking Mardi Gras Indians were, I kind of this kind of goes back to, well, I'm just going to give the whole manifesto here. Um, that Shane Leaf talks about this in his 2016 article, um, um, Dancing and Shaking, but he states that the what we call Congo Square was actually a
Mhm.
traditional indigenous drumming place or indigenous ceremony place. And that
Mhm.
what is currently cemetery number one, that was told to me as there used to be a mound there, which was like kind of a
Mhm.
site. And where the French market is now, that used to be a market and a trading place. And so
Right.
people come from the Mississippi River, people would come from Bayou Shupik or what is now Bayou St. John, and people would come from like the Slidell area or just kind of like out from Lake Pontchartrain and the waterways that connect there. And they would gather in this area, that, come down Bayou Shupik, take Portage Road, and that which like now passes through the Treme, and then
Mhm.
end up in this place. And then they would use that for trading. They would use it for camping. They would use it connecting with people. But then it was also a ceremony ground where you would go to this, what is now Congo Square, and you would do ceremony. And then if it was a ceremony that had to do with someone who had passed to the other side, then you would go and visit the mound. You would proceed or have a procession or kind of like a walk
Mhm.
calumet to
Mhm.
one. And I was told that that was like the origins of 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 the place, and like that was happening before any kind of Western contact, and that when settlers from the West came in and they brought enslaved people with them on the weekends, the enslaved people heard drumming and was like, "Shit, we drum too. Where is this happening?" And then they would meet at Congo Square because it's like, "Yo, you drum, I drum,
Exactly.
let's jam," you
Yes.
know. And it's like
Mhm. Mhm.
drumming together, you're dancing together, you're obviously gonna be friends. If you're friends together, you're gonna have some young people with you. Y'all are gonna, start, you
Right.
know, being friends, having love, making relationships, you know. And,
Right. And, and
and
and right, you're right about that. And they wore feathers in their head too.
mhm. But
They wore feathers.
what I had understood, and like this kind of, so that was like back in the day. And then it was like, oh, wow, people that we care about are in a shitty situation. Let's help them get out of that. And so that's when Indigenous people started supporting enslaved Africans who were trying to maroon away from people. And then they would either
Mhm.
like connect them and have them become part of their tribe, or just, shelter them, or also, or like help them, create posts or places of freedom that were in other places in the swamp. But with that, I always assumed, or like what that dancing and drumming meant to me, or like that understanding, was that there are indigenous people who are dark skinned and there are indigenous people who are light skinned.
Mhm.
Of indigenous North America, light skin, indigenous North America, dark skin, that came from those relationships, because those relationships
Exactly.
were based in love and connection. And so later,
Mhm.
through the Jim Crow era, it became more difficult for dark skinned Indigenous people to identify as Indigenous. And light skinned Indigenous people found it easier to identify as Indigenous if they separated themselves from their dark skinned relatives. And because of that, there was like this forced decision that created this space where there was just a color line that happened within the Indigenous community. And light-skinned relatives were fearing that they weren't able to get tribal federal recognition or other kind of tribal benefits if they felt like they were perceived too dark by the United States. And dark-skinned relatives were finding that their their um, their peers who were not Indigenous but were also African American of the South were kind of giving some shade to them if they were trying to state or express their indigeneity. And I think and this is my question to you, what I had always understood was that's where things split, where some Indigenous people started to call themselves Black masking Mardi Gras Indians, and other people just started stating that they were Indigenous. But they were relatives. They were always both Indigenous,
Mm-hmm.
but but they both had to kind of brand themselves differently to survive in the situation. So I'm saying all that to say that it was
Exactly.
always my perception that these tribes that are Black Masking Mardi Gras Indians are actually all dark-skinned Indigenous community. Is that
Exactly.
cooler? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But that holds true for just being a, a black person. You have light skin and dark skin. And so some of the light skin pushed away from their relatives
Mhm.
because they found that they could their skin color got more than the dark skin color.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, and
Mhm.
that holds true for like right now. You know, I had an aunt. Uh, she was really fair skinned. She left her family, and we never seen her again. We never
What?
seen. I mean, yeah, we never seen her again. She left her family. She was my grandmother and her family. They were Indian, white. They was just all mixed. But she was
Mhm.
fair enough to pass,
Mhm.
and nobody, her sisters or her brothers, never seen her again. She just
Wow.
left because she
Mhm.
found that she could do better because she was fair skinned.
Wow.
You know,
That's gotta be
so
that that's gotta feel not great.
that is, it's like part of your family is just torn apart because of your skin color. Now we don't know. We never knew anything else about her. Her sister, my grandmother, died when she was like 89 years old some years ago. So she never saw her sister again, you know. And they were young, maybe in her 20s, early 20s when she left. So all those years, she never, nobody, I mean, she just really just lost touch with her sisters, with her
Wow.
family, you know.
Mhm.
But, and now, my grandmother was fair. They all were fair skinned, but she was fair enough to pass. So she took that pass and went on about her business.
Yeah.
So
How does how did indigeneity play into that?
it played into
Like being light skinned enough to pass.
being, now she didn't. So wait, let's backtrack. When I say
Okay.
pass, I don't mean passing for Indian.
Oh, okay.
No, no. She, no, I was saying that played in the black community, just being a black person, and you
Mhm.
had fair skin,
Mhm.
and you were able to pass for a white person.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's what I meant.
Mhm.
But as far as with the indigenous, I think what I truly believe is if you had family members that were uh had Indian in your family, um, and they told you stories about what they went through and it just passed on down the line, um, and whoever decided to pick this up and pay homage to the people that helped them, that's how I think it began. I mean,
Mhm.
because nobody, I honestly, that is something I don't know how Tootie Montana got started. I know his dad did. Now,
Mm.
before him, I don't know how he got started in it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know where he got his start.
So
Um,
Tootie wasn't the originator. It was his dad that was the originator, and you're not quite sure
ex-
how that connected.
exactly, exactly.
Okay.
And that's something I need to research because that's a good question. Because I really don't know. His dad was Monogram Hunters,
Mhm.
and before that, I don't know if his dad was the very first Monogram Hunter or was it his dad that passed it on to him?
Mhm.
So that's something I need to research. I really don't know that.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
That's something I need to find out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting. Like, there's so many things where it's like, man, I wish I could just summon you from the grave and ask you like three questions, but
Yes,
save
yes,
me
yes.
hours of figuring stuff out.
It's funny how now I never till you brought that up. I never gave that a second thought. All I know is that Ty got the gang name from Tootie Montana.
Mhm.
Then I started messing with Big Chief Pie.
Mhm.
But as far as going back before Tootie, I know Tootie Daddy had the tribe, but before that, where did it come from?
Yeah.
Where did it come from? Where did
Yeah.
that come from? That's a good question. I never thought about that before. I never thought
I just
about that.
like put a point on it. I would have never thought to ask that either. But it's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where? How did he get started?
What was
Um,
his
what
motivation?
story was told to his dad to
Yeah.
make him start this? You know?
And like, did he start it or did he just label it in a way that we recognize it now, but it was happening before that?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, I got to do my research on that. Yes,
No.
most definitely.
We'll come back. We're
Huh.
gonna come back in 2 years, Denise, and we're gonna have the same conversation. And we're both gonna have Googled and looked up some stuff.
Yes, yes, because I never, I mean, if you hadn't have brought that up, I never thought about it that way. Where did, all I know is Monogram Hunters originated from Big Chief Tootie Montana's dad. Where
Yeah.
did dad get it from? You know,
Do you know his
that's
daddy's name?
uh, I can get it. Yes,
Okay.
I do. Yes, I do know his name. Um,
Yeah. No, I was just wondering if you knew it on the top of your head. No. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah.
BK,
Yeah, because DK,
BK.
DK, BK Montana.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that was his name, BK.
BK. Good to see.
Yeah, I gotta find out where BK got this from. Oh yes.
And like,
Oh, I'm excited.
yeah, do something. And the other thing that like, I guess people like talk a lot in the indigenous community around Mardi Gras Indians. And I think a lot of it is people who are not from here, and it's like, okay, you have shade, but it's like what you were saying earlier about the queens. It's like everybody's gonna have something to say. If you're doing something,
Everybody.
that's something to say. But one of the
Yeah.
things, like, sure, yeah, okay, just let that be what it is. But one of the things people say that like makes sense to me is that people are concerned that Black passing Mardi Gras Indians are pulling pretty heavily from like Plains cultural tradition. So like the imagery of
Yes.
the Lakota and the Dakota, like some of uh like the headdress styles and the other stuff that wasn't like, and I mean honestly I have the same shade to throw on Homa's what is that, Indian Santa tradition with
Mhm.
wearing
Mhm.
kind of like this Lakota headdress, and you have this southeastern Homa guy wearing it, where we're closer related to Choctaw and Chickasaw, which would never dress in that way. And so you
Mhm.
have this guy going around as Indian, with the tribe going as Indian Santa and wearing this regalia that has nothing to do with anything that our ancestors probably ever wore. And I feel like
Exactly.
some people have the same shade towards like the the Mardi Gras Indians, but with like the same elaboration. Have you felt that, or have you heard that before?
Yes. Um, the older chiefs is not many left that has saw this from then up until now. There's Chief Pie is one of Chief Pie. There's not many old chiefs left to really give you the lowdown of everything that went on. It has changed for the better, and Tootie saw to that. He died in City Hall fighting for the Indians to participate Mardi Gras Day on the streets. I mean, you would might go out Mardi Gras Day and not come home. I mean, they really physically fought back then. But Tootie put a twist on it. You fight with your needle. Your
Mm-hmm.
needle and thread. That's what you fight with. So, but a lot of the younger kids that say the young men uh, like the tradition and just decided to be, they're going to pull it on tribe and just say they're a tribe, but not knowing the history of how you become a chief. You have positions that you play in a tribe, and you're supposed to learn each position, and you play that position for so many years, and then you go to the next position. But a lot of them are just putting on suits and trying to change the culture, and
Mm-hmm.
it's dying if the older chiefs, don't talk and teach. Um, because it's really sad. It's just not. They don't put their hearts into it. They're out there again, uh, telling them you raggedy. Why? Why say that? Why go to a person and tell them you rag? This is what I was able to sow.
Yeah.
This is what I was able to. This is all I was able to do. Um, like Pi always said, you'd say that to that person, and the next year they come looking better than you. Now what? And the social media, oh my God, that has caused so many problems. You may post a picture up, and just because in your heart you think, and everybody should think that way, I look good, and some negative And it doesn't have to be up or downtown. It could be a downtown Indian and a downtown person is going to have something negative to say. But why? Just don't comment. That caused beef. So they hold on to this till Mardi Gras Day, St. Joseph night, or Super Sunday, or whenever, and problems happen. But why? I don't know why they can't get in their head. You sowing all year long to just show what you've done that whole year. You're not out here. You meet another tribe and you're going about your business. Why cause a ruckus? You know, it does not make sense. But yeah, it's dying because the young people are trying to change things with all the beefing. And this one said this and that one said that. But why worry about what the next person is saying? That I don't get.
And it's like
But
the older people are not stepping up and giving
exactly
what the younger people need.
You know, they have tribes where they new tribes, or it's a lot of young people that can left maybe other tribes, and in their mind, they they bad. But for what? So yeah, I think it's really dying. As far as why the culture started and what the culture is all about, you know.
I feel like that happens, like, I mean, that's pretty much the basis of why we have a language project with the Homo Language Project, is that we just stopped. It's like, how do you lose a whole ass language? I mean, part of that is
Yeah.
like is mothers protecting their children from the pain they've gone through. It's like, I respect that.
Right,
But
right,
also,
right,
like, there's that moment of just older people not stepping up to be a point of information, or
right,
not sharing the
and,
stories that the young people need. And I think that
right.
that's part of how we lost our language, but that's also part of how we lost understanding about regalia, or the way that we dressed, or the history of that. Like,
Mhm, mhm.
when I'm thinking about, like, why does Indian Santa wear a Lakota headdress, and why is it that Black Masking Mardi Gras Indian costumes look so much like Plains Indian costumes? I think it's because there wasn't like there are people for reasons of trauma, for reasons of busyness, for reasons of apathy, a lot of different things, but they decided not to continue to share some of that information with people about, like, community dress and norms and standards. And that
Mhm.
happened so much that people lost some of that information. And like,
Exactly.
and I think that, like, Black Masking Mardi Gras Indians and then also Indian Santa are both moments where people realized, like, oh, we've lost a lot of stuff. Let's try to take it back, or let's try to keep this up. And like, at the time, like in the, like, 70s, 80s, the way that you got information wasn't the internet. It was library books. And like,
Exactly.
Louisiana wasn't the place that had a lot of, like, literacy or libraries, or we just never funded that.
Mhm, mhm.
So like, probably the only information or books that people could get were around Lakota and Plains culture. And so people just were trying to do the best with the information that they had. And like, I can respect that. And then, like, but I can also recognize that, like, we have the internet now and we need to be doing better.
Exactly. Read, go and look up something. I mean, if if you have positions in a tribe, if you don't know, and if your chief is not teaching you what your position is in the tribe and what you should be doing in your tribe, find out from somebody. And maybe you need to talk to your chief. You know, it's just everybody wants to do their own thing, and forget about tradition. And I think it's going to be so sad um, when that is lost. It's going to be horrible because, first of all, the Indians in the tribe, I mean, neighborhood tribes, they did it because of the older people that couldn't go out to Mardi Gras when they tore up Claiborne to build up the interstate because
Like
black
the
people
red
didn't have.
redlining?
I'm sorry.
That like the
I'm
redlining of the
sorry.
Claiborne overpass?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yep, yep. And it's like since we didn't have a place in Mardi Gras, we stayed in our neighborhoods and walked the neighborhoods so the older people can have something to see, you know. And they're
Oh,
losing that. They're losing that. They want to go run uh like downtown, want to run uptown. There's nothing wrong with that. But why are you going up there? I mean, are you going
mhm,
up there to shake hands and just say I'm pretty, or you going up there to beef? You know. So
mhm,
I think the culture is slowly dying as to what it was meant for.
mhm. That's
And
also, sorry.
I just wish that the chiefs um, can all get together, uptown, downtown, around town, back of town, whatever, across the river. All the chiefs need to. It should be one group of Indians. Um, it doesn't matter how you sew, you still you mass Indian. You know, it doesn't matter, and that's the beauty to me. The different ways of sewing. That's the beauty for me.
Mhm.
That's what I see. Um, and a lot of people didn't understand or notice the difference in uptown sewing and the downtown sewing. Um, but before Tootie brought the 3D in, downtown used to sew flat too. Everything was flat until Tootie brought in the 3D designs in the Indian suits.
What you just said about like losing losing focus made me think of like, could you describe a little bit more about why Black Masking Mardi Gras Indians started in the first place? Like, what was that original motivation?
Yeah, you can. Is it all right for Pi to say something? He wants to elaborate on that.
Hey, bud, yeah, hey.
Hey, darling, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Good to hear from you. How you been?
I've been all right. I've been one day at a time.
All right. I heard
Uh,
y'all had a good
I
time at
mean,
SIP.
uh,
I heard y'all had a good time at SIP.
yeah, it was sort of a break for us to take just to take a moment to relax and collect your thoughts and your ideas for for the 26, 25 season, 26 season, and that was incredible. I mean, it was that was incredible. Just to relax for a little while and gather your stuff up and your thoughts and stuff so you can get right back at it again.
I was telling Denise earlier, meeting Jean Green is a spiritual experience.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
she'll walking book of knowledge.
Yes, yes. She's she's a mess. Now, what was your question? He heard that and he wanna say
Yeah,
something.
Chief Ty. So like Denise was talking a little bit. I guess the point that the idea that I'm trying to think about is it sounds like what I'm hearing is that the young people in Black Masking Mardi Gras tradition are like losing sight of the goal and mission or kind of losing sight of their,
Hmm.
and that the tradition itself is either changing or eroding because of
Hmm.
that. But one of the things that made me think of is thinking about, well, if it's changing, what was it originally? Why did Black Masking Mardi Gras Indians begin? And what I want to, I don't want to say that. I want to hear it from y'all what you think, because one of the things I'm thinking of is there was an original fire that y'all needed to do this in this certain way because y'all were fighting for something. And I want to say it's not all one, but a lot of the stuff that y'all were fighting for has been won in a way that like now there's all of this energy from the youth that used to be put towards fighting something, but because those battles are won, like, is it just that we don't have any battles left for the youth, or like have we not named the next thing that the youth needs to go, and is that why things are kind of shaky?
No, I think what's happening with the Black mass and Indian culture is a foul mess. When I started mass when I was 11 years old, this culture since 11 years old, since last year, I made 47 years I mass. I seen the good, I seen the start of the culture, I seen the middle of the culture, and I see what's going on now. And what's happening now is politics. It's politics. And when I say politics, I mean people didn't intervene in the culture. I mean, back then you had so much love for the culture. I mean, it was an everyday thing. We were on the corner singing with one another. We were on the corner dancing with one another. If I had something that you need, you could get it from me. You know what I'm saying? And what's happening is they're not teaching. You need more community centers. You need to teach the culture. The culture was never supposed to be stole. It was supposed to be told. And the stories that I have in the culture, I mean, I sit down and my tribe is, I make my tribe family first, then Indian, because that goes a long way. The struggle with the culture right now is that the younger generation, they don't have the understanding that if we weren't doing what we were doing back then and doing what we're doing now, you won't even be massing. So, it's just like a house. You build a house, you got the cornerstone. You know what I'm saying? And you never, if the cornerstone ain't there, the house gonna fall. So I mean, they have to have the understanding that y'all didn't bring the punk in the town. The punk was already here. We were massing when the stuff that we're using now, we wasn't even using that. It was strictly primitive. We was using stuff around the house to make costumes, to make suits. We was using stuff off our mama, dresser, curtains, rugs, pillowcase. We were making suits, from scratch with real chicken feathers and everything. You know what I'm saying? But I understand everything revolves, and I'm with that. I'm with the, with the new generation. But the new generation, without the teaching and the knowledge, then they're lost in the wilderness. And for it to get better, you have to have the love of this in you. If you don't have the love of this in you, you shouldn't even be touching this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, anybody can make an Indian soup, but do you have the love for this in you? And if you don't have that, then you shouldn't be touching that, because it's a spiritual thing. We sow with the spirit. I teach everybody in my tribe to sow with the spirit. If you ain't sowing with the spirit, you ain't sowing. When I sit down and sow at the table, me and Queen, I'm not just sowing with me and Queen. I'm sowing with everybody that taught me this. I'm sowing with every chief. I'm sowing with every Indian I walked the road with at my table that ain't here today, sitting at the table saying, "Pi, keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't stop," And that's what it is. What didn't happen is the politics that came in. Everybody back in the days, we only had 2 days to put a suit on. It was Mardi Gras and St. Joseph. Now you have the Super Sundays, and what's happening is a lot of infiltration in the Black mass and Indian culture has happened, because now you're more focused on gigs. You're more focused on can I go do a show? Can I go do this? And that's not what we're about. I mean, we only had 2 times to put an Indian suit on. Mardi Gras, if you didn't make it Mardi Gras, you had St. George. And if you didn't make it St. George, you kept your suit and kept sewing till the following year. It was a pride thing, a love for this culture that ain't there anymore. And I mean, it's gonna take for every chief or every tribe to sit at the table and guess what? We're gonna have to sit down and we're gonna have to talk, and we can make it better. But I mean, if a chief ain't being a chief, anybody can't be a chief. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I had a long road to go to get the title of a chief. I had to master positions. You understand? Just like you went from first grade to 12th grade. I had to do the same thing in the Indian culture. That's how we was taught. I mastered 10 years as a spy boy. I mastered 12, 15 years as a flag boy. I mastered another 15 years as a game flag. Then I became a chief. You know, anybody can start a tribe, but you can't just say you're a chief. You gotta have history underneath your belt. You know, and you have to be a leader, somebody that people gonna trust in and gonna lead them and teach them and show them the right way to do things.
I'm thinking also like with leadership, there's also the compromise, negotiation, and strategizing with other leaders. Is there like is there a council of chiefs for
Mm-hmm.
and like what's the health of that right now?
Well,
No,
well, there's an uptown council.
the Uptown Council is, see, when I told you just a while ago that the Indian culture has been infiltrated. And when I say infiltrated, a lot has to do with City Hall. A lot has to do with the politicians of New Orleans. A lot has to do with, because what they did, they separated us. You know, I mean, from a kid, from 11 years old, we were black Master Indians. You know what I'm saying? And at a point in this culture, through City Hall, we became Mardi Gras Indians. And that's the title that they have us under in City Hall. Mardi Gras Indians. We're not Mardi Gras Indians. We're black Master Indians. And the infiltration is that, okay, they know that we can't never sit at the table. Every chief can't never sit at the table, because what the infiltration is that they separated us. They made, we are one nation of Indians. We are not an uptown Indian, a downtown Indian, a back of town Indian, across the river Indian. We are a nation of Indians, but they separated us. You know, and downtown is downtown, uptown is uptown, and uptown has an uptown council, but it serves uptown.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't serve downtown. Not like talking about it, you know. And I mean, I don't think that's fair, because I mean, everybody put blood, sweat, and tears into making these suits. You know what I'm saying? Every year, and we make the suit not only for ourselves, but everybody. You know, to see and you know and love what we do. You know what I'm saying? But the separation and the infiltration has this thing so divided. You know, it's divided. I mean, the beautiful Mardi Gras I ever seen was when I was coming up, before they put the interstate up. You know, and I mean, it's just, I mean, I know it'll never be like that again, but it could get close. It could get close if we all come together, you know, and that's going to be hard to do, because, like I said, they call it a division in the Black Master Indian tribe. And when I was coming up, 14, 15 years old, man, we were all one. Uptown, downtown, we were one nation of Indians. We represented that. That's not being represented no more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's going to take a lot for us to get back to what we need to be at. And it calls for we need a lot of community. We need help. We really need help, you know, from the city. We need help because you can teach the culture. You could teach the Indian beading sewing classes, which we do, but you need more community centers. We need places where these kids could come, these youngsters could come, and guess not just sew, but we could teach you the culture and the history of where this came from and where it's at now. That's what we need. You know,
Hello?
We need buildings where we could do things, you know what I'm saying, and bring these kids in. Because, I mean, a lot of them I mean, you figure and you think a lot of them going through a lot of young kids, young men now, they're going through a lot right now in life right now. You know, and if you could, the Indian culture saved a lot of lives. It saved mine. You know, and I have kids that were in my Indian being care class when they were little babies and still mad today. And they tell me every year, Chief, it wasn't for you, it was showing me how to sew and being a father call. He said, I'll probably be dead or in jail. So you change your lives. You're giving people other alternatives besides hanging in the street behind drugs or stealing them or whatever. You're giving them another outlook on life, you know, and you presenting your talent that the inner person in you could bring out of them, you know, and that's what we need. We need more community centers. We need, you know, we need to come together, and once we do that, we're gonna be. And I have seen it in my dreams. Oh, it's gonna be all right, because I mean, all it takes is for, you know, you build it, they come. You know what I'm saying? So the elders that's left, we need to come together. When we come together, everything else will fall in place.
That's the question I have about coming together too. What is the relationship between Black Mastic Mardi Gras Indian Council and Louisiana Intertribal Council?
Well, basically, nothing. Nothing. The Uptown Council to me is a joke. It serves Uptown. It's a joke. If you're gonna serve Indians, Black American Indians, then whoever's sitting on the board, what you should first think about is the Indian nation, not individuals. And see, that's the problem. Some
That's what I'm asking, is like, it's not like beyond Black Mastic Mardi Gras Indians. If this work is being done to, like, as a part of a relation with indigenous nations of the Gulf South, how are you guys connecting, and what's the kinship between Black Masking Mardi Gras Indian chiefs and chiefs of like Chada and like the Intertribal Council of Louisiana?
The Native American Indians, I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna be real honest with you, because that's who we portray when we put these suits on, and they are on our side. They bless us. I mean, I've been to real rituals, Indian rituals, and they bless us. They love what we do. I mean, even when we perform at Jazz Fest, they're there. They love what we do. The sewing, the sewing, you know, the creativity, and it's
But
like
there is no link and no connection with
There's not,
with
Denice?
both groups.
Okay.
no. Well, no,
Why do you think,
there's
Denice,
no. I mean, we
Wait,
don't.
wait. I'm sorry.
Denice,
Say that
why do you
again.
think that is?
I don't know. I think because it's a selfish thing as far as like the Uptown Council.
Mhm.
It's all about them, and I think they're afraid of what may be said or not given if the two councils come together. I don't know, but there's no connection.
No.
There is no connection.
The natives,
And I'm not talking about like the uptown and the downtown. I'm talking about like,
No,
yeah.
yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, but
Okay.
there is no connection.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I guess
never hear.
that's my question too, is like, if the work of Black Masking Indians is seen as a something that honors and is
Exactly,
like in relation
exactly.
with these indigenous communities, is there, and you know, I'm asking the hard questions here, but like, why is it that there's like, can you guys say that if there isn't a kinship?
Exactly. Well, okay. I understand what you're saying, but let me see, how can I put this? From what we've learned as children coming up, we're going by what our ancestors has told us, okay?
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
not, you understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's not that, so I don't know why the two councils are not coming together, and which I think we can maybe learn more, they can learn more and come together, and I don't know. That's something.
It's because the Native Indians and the Black Master Indians, they have love for what we do. But at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, they went through what we went through. So anything that's not in its proper place, they don't really want to have nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? They really don't want to have nothing to do with I mean, till this thing come together. They don't want really have nothing to do with, I mean, the Native Indians, I mean, they went through just what we went through. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, what was so great with them is their respect for their culture.
Yeah.
Their respect for their culture.
Maybe
it's overwhelming. It's too much for the Black Master Indians. You know what I'm saying?
I think maybe if the councils get together, they will have. They
you gotta have a power to come together for them to even, you know, to even step to the plate like we would want them to do. But they're there, and they say what they say, and they come see us, and you know, they love what we do. But they understand that the understanding that I have with them is that they're not gonna fight for something that they already got. You know what I'm saying? And the fight is just communication. You know what I'm saying? It's communication. They're not gonna get involved with an uptown council when a council should be for an Indian nation. You know, not for a certain part of the culture. You know what I'm saying? So they step away from a lot of the foolishness, and I'm with that, and I can respect that.
Yeah, and like I think that like there's one thing, because I know like tribal count, like I know with my tribal council, it's, you know, things are always difficult. They're trying to run a whole nation. They have a lot of things that they're responsible for
Right.
outside of culture stuff. And so it's one thing, so that was one of the questions is like, what's the connection between, or what's the kinship between Black Masking Mardi Gras Indian tribes and indigenous tribes of Louisiana? And I think the next question that I have is around like, what's the connection between indigenous relations and Black Masking Mardi Gras traditions in the South? Like me as an indigenous person, like there is respect, there is appreciation for what you guys do. There's also a hesitance about like I can only stand you guys so far within indigenous communities if, you know, if so much of the work is based on Plains Indian culture and not Southeastern culture. And so like a question is like, and the only way that's going to change is if there's more contact and more like we work together more, you know? And so like I guess that's the question of just like, are you guys trying to work with indigenous communities? Do you guys want to work in indigenous communities, and what would that look like?
Oh, I would love to. That is something that I think I'm going to work on. I would love, that would be, I think in my mind, if they would meet, I think the Black Masking Indians would have more respect for what they're doing. Because, like I said, it goes back to the young people. They just put on a suit. They don't even know the history of Black Masking Indians. So that would, I think that might help. That really might help.
Like
I never thought about it that way.
Like with the youth understanding like the impact of what's happening here.
Exactly. So yeah, and that's something that the chiefs ought to get together and try to do. all the black medicine chiefs.
Yeah.
That's what they really need to try to do that and have different, not just one tribe. Is it only, is there several tribal councils or is it just one?
Yeah, so there's one group, there's like one, it would be like our uptown council. It's the intertribal, it's called the intertribal council, and that's like, I think there's something like 30 or 40 chiefs in Louisiana of indigenous tribes,
Okay,
and
okay,
they all come
okay.
together and they have a meeting at the intertribal council. But what the intertribal like
Mhm.
they're what they're trying to do there is more like, yeah, yeah. So that would be something to talk about there. That's one place to do it. But one of the things that's happening with Indigenous nations is that they're doing all sorts of stuff that's outside of culture. Like they're doing job placement, and they're running schools, and they're petitioning the US government for grievances. And so that council isn't just based on like keeping cultural heritage. Cultural heritage might
Exactly,
10% of
exactly,
what they do.
exactly.
And so like that's a question that we have, is I have too, is just like, how is there a place that's just concerned about cultural heritage and community and connection that's all of the tribes? And I don't think that really exists now that I'm talking to you
It
about
doesn't.
it. No, yeah.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Mhm. And
And I
yeah,
think that should
yeah,
happen.
that should happen. Yeah. Powers that be that are listening to this interview.
Huh?
I'm just like talking to the audience, the powers that be who are listening to this interview. It happens.
Yes. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
That really makes a lot of sense. You know, like I say, when I talk to people, they want to know what I'm thinking or my thoughts, but I learn a lot. I learn a lot. And it makes me think about things. There's a couple of major things that's got me thinking. I have to think about now is how Monogram Hunters started
Mhm.
and about the two consuls getting together.
Yeah.
You
And like
know, that's something that's never, well, because it never was brought to my attention, and I just never gave it much thought. Never.
and like also like there was reasons why these things were divided, and like it's not, it wasn't an accident. Like there's a lot of racism and power dynamics and system changes that made
Hmm.
communities split. And uh, for a while, and even today, there's like people who don't want us to work together. And those are people within both of our communities, and it's the system that we're in too. And saying that like, oh, this is a good idea. Why didn't we do it earlier? It's like, because maybe we couldn't have, and that's real.
Right, 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 right. And that's just like maybe it couldn't have happened years ago, but it can happen now.
It could, yeah. We could try,
Yeah,
yeah.
it can happen now. It can happen now.
And I guess like, I don't know, just trying to wrap the interview up and thinking, I guess, thinking about the term kinship, and thinking about like, I guess, like I can tell you what indigenous communities of the Gulf South need from Black masking Mardi Gras Indians, and that's a connection with Southeast aesthetics, with like a connection
Mhm.
to like Choctaw, Chickasaw, Coasati, Chitimacha traditional dress and culture in the way that they present themselves as Gulf South indigenous communities. And like when I'm thinking about kinship between us working together, like I'd love to be part of helping with that. But I'm
I
thinking
would
on
love to do that. But
Like,
let me say this.
like,
Wouldn't
oh,
it be
sorry.
nice? I'm sorry. I want to say this right quick. Wouldn't it be nice to have an indigenous tribe to come to one of the Black Massing Indians practices?
Yeah, that would be really great to be invited.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, and let them show us what they do. You know,
Yeah.
we watch what they do, they watch what we do. That would be, oh my God, that would be fantastic.
Like this whole thing started because we were drumming together. Like, why don't we drum together?
Exactly, exactly. That would be
That would be,
awesome.
and
That
like,
would be really, really nice.
I think like a question I have for you is that like, what can indigenous communities of the Gulf South that are listening now, like, I've told you what would help us with kinship. What would help y'all with kinship? What can we do to support the beautiful things that you guys do and create?
Just keep positive thoughts about what we're doing. And if we were to come together and, you know, as far as meeting, I think we would get a better understanding of each other, as to, especially the Black Mass and Indians. The indigenous would understand fully why we do what we do. And we could give them a better understanding of why we do what we do and why we dress the way we dress.
That would be great.
Yes, and then we would understand, as Black Mass and Indians why we do what we do. A better understanding from the indigenous, not from the indigenous of our ancestors, if that makes much sense.
Yeah.
We learn to do what we do from our ancestors, but we'll have it authentic people telling us why they do what we do, why they do it, because we may do something that's real close, but they may have a different definition of why they do it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's like our communities have survived by growing separately as two separate indigenous communities. It was separate indigenous
Exactly.
traditions for years. And it's like
Yes.
how do we merge these back together? Because it's like you guys,
Mm-hmm.
this is an authentic, like this, you guys are just as authentic. I personally believe it, that you guys are just as authentic as what people are calling indigenous tribes. Like you guys are an indigenous community. You guys just survived in a different, by taking a different path than what state recognized or federally recognized tribes did. And so it's like,
Right.
how do we come together and learn from each other and like learn from y'all?
Exactly.
How do we learn from y'all's authenticity, and how do y'all learn from, like, we both kept and stored different parts of our indigeneity in our survival strategies. And it's like, what is it to have a potluck and share those things with each other? What are we going to learn?
Exactly. And I think that we're going to get together on that, or we really need to try to get that together. Really.
That would be, even just a cookout would be a good start, you know?
Oh, yes.
And when you do something like that, what's so important to the Native Indians is that the terminologies and the language that we use. When we do it, we will say like, okay, we'll do a picnic or something, or whatever, potluck or whatever. We would call it a powwow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
we would call it we will call it a powwow, and powwow means that's what they did. That's what the Native Indians did when they had meetings or when something didn't go right in the tribe, then they would sit around the campfire at night and they would smoke the peace pipe and they would call it a powwow and they would discuss. You understand? If somebody, they sent the warriors out there to hunt, some of them didn't go or whatever, so they would hold a meet, they would hold a powwow. And everything was talked at the powwow. You know what I'm saying? And
But I think that would be fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
We really need to have that come
That would be
together. That would, yes, that would
That would
really,
be cool.
and not just language and foods, just everything would be brought together, just merged, you know?
Yeah.
The different types of food, just that would be, oh, that would be awesome,
would be
awesome,
cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
And
that
see,
would.
what hurts culture too with doing what you and Queen are speaking about is that when you to pull things up. See what's happening with us is that like we don't have the funding and the resources to pull these type of things off. So the people on the outside like y'all and all these studio in the woods, zip and antenna and all, that's where they come in at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we could really pull this off. You know, you need support behind what you're talking about, and if the support there, then it can happen. Mm-hmm. It can happen.
I
Well,
see
we're
you
gonna
sitting in the woods.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I was like, I see you studio in the woods, just kind of shouting out to him.
Yes. But that I really, whoever listens to this, I just wish that this can come to fruition and we learn from each other. You know, that's my biggest concern is that I want to understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and I want you to understand why I do what I do and how I do it. You know?
Yeah, I would love to like I mean, I've been to Second Line maybe once, but like maybe that's a good place to start. Is just like because we like most indigenous communities in the Gulf South have a powwow that happens every year, and it's a place where people get together. There's dancing, there's talking, and it's just kind of like a big community meeting spot.
And
Maybe
where is that?
there, I mean, happens at different places. Like the
Uh-huh.
Tunica Biloxi just had their powwow. I think it was last weekend, their annual powwow, and it
Mm-hmm.
was Parksville, and then the Coshada have their powwow out near Lake Charles, and then the Homa have their powwow in Homa. I think that's going to take place in the fall. But like maybe that's a good start. Is that like inviting the indigenous community to a Mardi Gras Indian practice, and then
Yes,
inviting y'all to come to the powwow.
exactly.
Just like a place to
Yeah,
start.
that sounds, yeah, yes, that sounds fantastic.
That would be cool.
Oh, yes, it would be. I would love that.
All right, so from 2 years from now, next time we do the stream, we'll have we'll do an update video of where all this
All right.
what happened with all this.
Oh, God, this was fun. I learned a lot.
Same. Thanks. This has been beautiful and healing, and I'm still like, yeah, we covered a lot of ground that's hard to cover, and I'm glad we're able to talk about stuff.
Yeah, and I hope I answered the questions and made sense of what you were asking me.
I think you did. Yeah, that was beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you for being willing to do that too. So, I'm still like we went through a lot of stuff here today, and I'm still sitting with what Ty said about like if you're not sowing with the spirit, why you're even sowing? And I'm just
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, I needed to hear that today, so thanks, Ty. I appreciate that.
He stepped out, but yeah, and
Yeah.
he tell us that all the time. We sit here and we can sit here for because, in fact, I've just put my needle and thread down. That's what I was doing while I was talking to you, sewing.
Mm.
And
I was,
we can sit here for hours and not say a word to each other because we're sewing.
mm. I
And
was,
it's just it's go ahead.
no, go.
It's good meditation. It really is. It really, really is.
Um, Queen Cherise Harrison Nelson taught me that too. Is that we were in a cohort for some committee together a while back, and she would always bring her beading. And I was young, I was just kind of starting off in my career and stuff. And so I asked her one day, I was like, "Man, you're always beading." And she looked at me because it was a kind of nonsense meeting. And she just looked at me in this very fierce way and she's like, "Haley, never let anybody waste your time." And it was like, and like the beading was the way that she like, that sometimes like she was beading because it was a good thing to do while listening, and other times it felt like she was doing it as like a revolution. And I don't know, I started.
Right, and but now why I was sewing while I was on the phone with you, it motivated me. The
Hmm.
conversation was I was motivated to just pick up this thread and start sewing.
And
But
I didn't mean it like that too, because I'm sitting here and I'm sketching too, because it's like I do like sketches in watercolor because it helps me like take what's being said and put it into my own mind in a way that I can remember it. Yeah.
right, 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 right. But yeah, this was very, very informative, and I really and truly enjoyed it.
Yeah. Same. Thanks. And I hope this is not the only conversation. I'll be texting you. So
Yes, and please, and I am so serious about getting the councils together. I think that would
yeah.
be fantastic. You know, I'm sure you have resources of getting in touch with different people, and we can get together and do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think like at least people working on culture need to be talking with each other, and we need to be,
Exactly, exactly, exactly. And maybe that would spark some put some positive thoughts in these young people's mind, the ones that's just uh throwing and just putting on a Indian suit just to say they're an Indian. Uh, maybe they'll think differently about when they put their suit on. Because I
mm,
tell everybody, I when I sew, I'll sew and I put my suit, and I can put my suit on, but see, once I put my crown on, it's a totally different feeling. Once I
mm,
put my crown on, you feel. I mean, you do
yeah.
feel the spirit when you put that crown on.
You've entered into the new being.
Exactly. You're transformed. You really,
Yeah.
really do. And they laugh at me because the first time I put I was in black, and I was all excited because this is my first time, and I put the suit on. I was fine, but when I put that crown on,
Mhm.
oh my God, I could not explain the feeling. I couldn't, and it's still like that. It's just
Mhm.
a different feeling once you put your crown on.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know the crown. It just
Just makes it.
yeah, it does.
What you do all year long, you sow with the spirit. You sow with the spirit. And Mardi Gras morning, when you put your suit on, you become that spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. You become all
It's
those
okay.
individual moments. Yeah.
Individuals, yes. And
Mhm.
it's a beautiful, beautiful feeling. Oh my goodness. It's I cannot explain. I don't know if I can't tell you how any other queen feel, but I know what I feel when I put it on. I don't know. I could not explain it to you.
They all feel like that.
No feeling on earth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, beautiful feeling.
It's like a unity of like all time.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, we need a jam. Like,
yes,
yeah.
we do. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
thank
you
you.
enjoy
Yeah,
you're
thanks so
quite
much.
welcome. You enjoy your little vacation. Now, where are you going from here?
I'm
From
going to
there, I should say.
Peru tomorrow.
Oh my goodness.
I know. I'm so excited.
Oh, I wish. Oh, I wish. I wish. I wish. Boy.
Yeah.
Mm, 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 mm.
I'll send you some pictures.
So you do a trip or just something that you wanted to do and you're learning as you go?
I'm learning as I go.
Okay.
This is something
You
I've
know,
been.
I'm thinking, was it, did you do this to, as an assignment, or you just something that you wanted to do and you learn it as you go? You understand what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
Yeah. Like I remember when I got my driver's license, I was 18 years old. I realized I could get my passport by myself. And I remember like just a few days after my 18th birthday, I went by myself to Walmart and I got my passport because I knew one day I wanted to travel the world. And
Uh-huh.
like, it's expensive to do this and like you have to have a lot of stuff together. And so like I never had a I never had like a Pinterest or like a wish list book to getting married. I always had this
Uh-huh.
like journal or something of like, where am I going to go in the world when I can? So it
Mm-hmm.
took me a few decades to get everything in place, but it's like everything I always did was always like, okay, well, I'm going to do this. I can't make a choice in this direction because I need to be able to do this thing when I figure out a way to make it happen.
Right, right. And
And
how many years did it take for you? You said a couple of decades?
a couple of yeah, I mean,
'Cause-
since I was 18, I'm 36 now, just
oh, wow.
I mean, like to figure
Well,
out how to do this and work, to figure out like to have a career I could do this with, to like
right,
to
right,
be old enough and know enough about traveling to do this, to have enough money, which was the real kicker of like how am I gonna have enough money?
right.
So yeah, it's been a lifetime.
Well,
Yeah. But I don't
that's a
have but
beautiful
like
thing, though.
I made a lot of choices. Like I don't have a partner. I don't have kids. I don't have a
Mm-hmm.
place where I'm living. I don't have a pet. I have an aloe vera plant because I could leave it for months.
Yeah, I have an aloe vera plant.
I hope he's
Oh,
thriving.
that's funny.
you know. But I mean, it's just like I made some choices to make it so that I could do this.
Right.
And I'm really happy to, and like I was hoping that it would be something that I liked, and I was right. I do really like this, and I'm glad I made all those choices.
Well, that's wonderful to be able to. And you know what? The choices you made and the way you did it, it's wonderful. You don't have kids where you have to make a choice between
Yeah.
not going here because I have kids. You don't you so you did it the right way.
Like what I'm doing right now, if I had kids or a partner, would be really selfish. I don't think it would. I couldn't do this. It would be too, you know. But it's like,
Oh, that's what I'm
or even
saying.
a pet,
So
It's but I made all those choices so I can make this choice.
exactly. So you did the right thing as far as not having kids so I can do this instead of having kids and then blaming them because you didn't fulfill your dreams,
Hmm.
or
Or
your
doing it
partner.
and abondating them somewhere with somebody, or like putting my
Right.
pressure of my dream on them and making them want to do this.
Exactly. So you did good.
Let's see.
So what mama thinks, what mom thinks.
Well, I mean, Mom always knew I had this instead of a marriage, like she's been on this trip of knowing this was important to me for a while. I have
Mm-hmm.
I have the like find my iPhone on and an AirTag with me so that she can like watch me as I move
She can
around.
keep up with you, huh?
Yeah, and I text them every day so that they know I'm still alive and stuff. But
You have sisters and brothers?
I have one older sister, yeah. So
Oh, okay, okay.
she's not like this.
She's
She has three
married with
kids.
children, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I mean they're I mean, I don't know, they have their dreams too, and I support their dreams. So I hope they're supporting this one with me too.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. But that's boy. Now you see, you would be doing what I'm doing right now had you not made the choices that you did.
What's
I
that?
had dreams too.
Mhm. What was your dreams?
Mhm. So I wanted to go to the Air Force, but I met a boyfriend,
Okay.
got married, and that went all the way. Didn't want me to go. I wanted to go to the Air Force. I wanted to travel the world. I still think about that. It's oh God. So that's why I admire you for the choices that you made. You don't have to sit down and do what I'm doing. Wish I would have done it. You know,
Mhm.
had I not made those choices that I made. So, yeah. And
My
that's a good teaching. Whatever you have in your mind to do, do it. You know, don't let nothing get in your way. Just do it.
just let
So,
it it was like trust that whatever's in your mind was put there by a spirit,
exactly.
and that spirit
Exactly.
is like if you're not doing what you should be doing, then the world's not aligned.
Exactly.
I learned
Right.
this from my
Right. Right.
grandma. And like that's like going back to like the importance of elders being there is like my grandma, she told me one time this story because she had kids and she did the whole thing. But she said that she always wanted to travel and that was always a dream and that she thought that she
Mm-hmm.
would be able to balance it and stuff and she never did. And I
You,
remember
you
her
can't.
looking at yeah, I remember her looking at me with a very fierce look one day and being like, "If you want to do this, you got to do it." And it just stuck with me.
Exactly.
Kind of like, "Okay, you're right." Like,
Yep. And
thank you
see,
for
that's the
taking.
importance of elders.
Mhm.
They'll
Mhm.
yeah, and catch them when they're young and
Yeah.
instill those ideas and beliefs, instill them, and oh, they'll be the happiest people in the world. You know?
Like, what's the point of going through something hard and painful if you can't stop someone else from going through something hard and painful by sharing it?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's true. That is so true.
Mhm.
But I am so glad. I don't think I've ever met anybody that has made sacrifice. Well, well, yeah, that's a sacrifice to fulfill their dream, you know, and just travel or whatever the dream may be. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know of anybody that has put like mates and children for down the road um to fulfill their dream. And you know what? And it's so that would be beautiful. So if you ever decide to have kids, you know the stories you can tell them. That I'm telling you,
Yeah.
you know, you have a I mean a book to tell them.
Bedtime's gonna
You'll
be
be able to
lit.
write
You know?
uh-huh.
Yeah, I enjoy being a godparent. Is I have some nieces and nephews, and so that's I think that's as close as I'm gonna get to having my own. But like, yeah, it's
You never know.
you never know. You never know. I'm not gonna. Yeah,
You never know.
you never know. You're right. You're right.
But the only thing that I'd advise, whatever you do, and if you don't have kids, don't ever get in a frame of mind where you regret not having kids.
Oh,
You
okay.
know,
Okay.
you can, don't, because you did what you wanted to do. This is
Oh,
what you wanted to do. So don't
yeah.
ever get in that spot where, oh, say you get a little older
Mhm.
and you slowing down,
Mhm.
but you have all these beautiful thoughts and memories, and
Mhm.
don't ever regret not having kids. Don't ever, or having or whatever. Don't ever regret the choice that you made. That would defeat what you did.
Ooh, man, I
You
needed
understand?
to hear that. No, no,
Huh?
that really makes sense, man. I'm just letting that
Yeah,
slip through me, man. Thank
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you.
yeah. Don't ever remember an old lady told you that. Don't ever sit back and regret
Wait a minute, you're not that old.
nothing. 68,
But
that's old.
the way that you said it makes so much sense. It defeats the purpose of having a dream. If you regret,
Ex-
woo,
exactly.
I'm
The
gonna say
sacrifices that you made. if you regret, if you down the line regret the sacrifices you made to fulfill your dream, it defeated the purpose. So why did I do this? No, don't ever regret that. Never, please don't ever regret that.
thank you. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't want to, and remember what I said. I regret not doing what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, don't have those kind of regrets. No,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you might long when the time comes to regret that. Oh, I should have went to this place instead of that place. That let that be your regrets. That I
Little
should have
regret.
stayed in Peru longer.
Yeah,
Like that. So
yeah, but
I
don't.
admire the
Mm,
young people that go after their dreams. Just do it. You know.
yeah. And then like when you do it, I'm trying to learn this too, is like you gotta leave it all on the street that day. Like you prepared for this, like you've been doing it, you've been getting ready for years and stuff, and it's like
Yes.
stepping out and doing it. It's like don't don't sit on your phone. Like you have to live with some intensity. It's like if you want to do something, don't think about it twice. You gotta do it.
Do it.
You gotta like
Yes.
just go with it and like
Go.
learn
That's
how to
right.
do it. Just
As
like
they like they said, just do it and go with the flow. Just do it.
yeah, yeah. Trust yourself. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Oh,
Well,
I think, oh my God, I think about the things that I wanted to do. Um, it was just, I wanted to, oh my God. See,
what were the other
don't do
things?
that. Don't do that. It's
What
just,
were the other things you
don't
wanted?
ever. Oh, it's just so much. I wanted to travel. Um, like go to the Air Force, just be a part of the service. I wanted to
Mhm.
do that. I wanted to travel. I wanted to live in the French Quarter. Um,
Ooh, okay.
I just wanted to, yes, I wanted to be a part of that mm, free. I don't know what word to use. I'm gonna just say the French Quarter culture. That I just wanted to be part of that for a while. Um, I wanted to learn several languages. It was just so much in my head, but that's where your elders come in. If you talk about something, I didn't have anybody to push me or
Mm,
say things to make me. You see what I'm saying? So I try to tell my
yeah,
grandkids that I didn't have anybody to do that. So
yeah.
yeah, so it helps when you have elders to guide you or just say a couple of words to you. Just like what I just said, don't ever regret that
Yeah.
that put something in you to say again, you know what? I gave
Mhm.
up all this. Yes, this is what I wanted to do. And I'm proud that I did it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
So
like elders are such an important role. Like, and yeah, they got a lot
yeah,
going on. And it's like I don't want to put any shade. I mean, people got stuff going on, but it's like kids and youth and people need their knowledge so much.
Yes,
Like
yes,
such it's such a rare resource to know someone who's done something, even whatever their
yes,
life was, whatever choices they made, they thought about those choices and they know like I should have made a different one or I made the best one. And then like
exactly.
just having someone in your life who's willing to talk to you like that, of like either it's like a chief or your elder or somebody, it's like
Right, right. And you see, just like you just said, you made that choice, and that's the choice I made, and be happy with that.
mhm.
That was your choice. That was what you had. That was your dream, and you fulfilling it.
Yeah.
That's nothing but positive. That's positive.
Choose your choice, yeah, and stick with it.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep, yes.
Well, Denise, man, thank you so much. This has been wonderful as always. Felt like, this felt like
Yes,
more
yes,
like
yes,
a
yes.
soldier fishing thing than anything else. So,
Yes, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And you enjoyed it. How much time you have now?
I'm gonna
And
I'm gonna
so,
come back in July.
oh, okay, okay, okay.
Not for a while. Let's see. I'll
Oh my God.
send you a
Yes,
postcard.
please send me some pictures.
Okay, I'll do that too. So,
And you're gonna make me cry. I wish I was there.
I'd love to travel with you. You're fun.
Oh, I would have so much fun. Oh my, let's do this. Let's do it. Let's go here. You don't want to go there? Come on, girl. Let's go.
Oh, girl, you already know that I travel slow.
Oh,
I do one
yes,
thing.
indeed. Yeah. Oh, and you would be fun. See, we would make good traveling companions. We really would.
I think we would have a hoot. So.
Yep, yep. We'll be a group by ourselves.
A
We'd be
force.
a group by ourselves. The group of two.
Right. All right, Denise. Well, I'm gonna
Go ahead.
let you go, but
And
thanks so
safe
much.
travels.
Okay.
All right, my dear. Thank you very much.
All
And
right, see you.
safe travels. All right then.
All right,
Be careful.
I will. All right,
All
bye.
righty. All right. Bye bye.